one of his most fervent supporters is Colonel John Blitch, a Renaissance warrior who holds a doctorate in psychology, was a Delta Force sniper, and is one of the few men to hold doomsday in his hands, commanding a nuclear weapons battalion. So you believe Jake Barber is telling the truth?
Absolutely.
There has been a cover-up lasting 80 years.
Absolutely.
We've recovered craft.
Absolutely.
I want to start with this irony and this kind of tragic paradox of the military repressing its own personnel in such a systemic way. And as a military man yourself, who was, been really immersed in the military for many, many years, trained at West Point and so forth and so on, how do you understand I know that they did it. The question would be, why do you believe that they did it and sustain this in such a ferocious way for so long?
Yeah, I think it's similar to the dark side of Santa Claus. It is an effort to allow people to sleep at night. You could have convinced me to suppress that secret and to try to bring the other kids on the block into the Santa Claus conspiracy. That would have worked for me back in 1979. Now, I want to be clear. I have never been read in on any UAP, UFO, special access program of any sort. And I forgot, not with anything to do with this effort. But that's what it would have taken to convince me to join the cabal, is to be that scared of my kids being taken out of their bedrooms at night. And I think that's the underpinning for the entire level of secrecy. That's how you can get good people to do harmful things to their friends and buddies to keep them quiet. It's the rationalization. I'm not saying it's right. And now I think the reason why Lou Elizondo is still alive and the reason why Dave Grush is still alive is because the reverse engineering that has occurred over the past half a century or so, I think it is successful enough now that we being the military industrial complex, can protect a fairly significant portion of the populace from these abduction activities.
Altri 18 avvistamenti solo oggi, luci vaganti soprattutto, la maggioranza delle quali nel settore nord-occidentale e 3, se ricordo bene, sui Grandi Laghi.
C'entrano i russi?
Oggi sentivo la radio. La gente diceva che forse vengono da un altro pianeta.
Le stesse cose che sentivo a Los Alamos. Mai saputo poi se fossero i nostri o qualche diavoleria tedesca.
È un disco volante, signore?
Qualcuno vi dirà che la guerra è stata vinta per superiorità numerica, qualcun altro darà il merito alla strategia, o alla giusta causa, o al fatto che siamo duri da battere. Niente di tutto questo è vero. Abbiamo vinto la guerra grazie ai segreti, scoprendo i loro e custodendo i nostri. Signori, vi presento l'Enola Gay. Quando l'Enola Gay ha sganciato il suo carico su Hiroshima, solo 107 uomini in tutto il paese sapevano esattamente di che natura fosse tale carico. Il B-29 era stato modificato per l'occasione e un nuovo equipaggio addestrato al trasporto di una bomba atomica era a bordo. Dovevano compiere una missione tanto segreta che neanche loro sapevano quale fosse. Il segreto fu mantenuto fino all'ultimo momento, col risultato di vincere la guerra. Come membri del servizio informazioni, il vostro compito sarà di custodire segreti. In qualsiasi momento la vostra capacità di tacere e, se necessario, di mentire spudoratamente potrebbe forse cambiare il corso della storia.
I was a security escort for what are known as HVTs all over the world. I also I deployed in Bosnia in support of the hunt for war criminals.
So why do countries like America have covert people like yourself? What's the purpose of it?
Well, there's a lot of utility in what you could call a hidden hand. For better or for worse, the US government and its agencies tend to paint themselves into a corner, and they're bound by their own regulations and rules of play, and which makes it extremely valuable to be able to outsource to folks who don't have to follow those same rules.
So you were operating outside of the normal rule book, but to be clear, there's nothing wrong with a covert role. The US government uses covert operators all the time.
Absolutely. It's 100% in the best interest of everyone in this country, and to maintain superiority from a national security standpoint, that we play the game that way.
And do you regard yourself as a patriot? Do you love
Absolutely, first and foremost, before anything else. And I'd like to be clear, let's do this right now. I'd like you to know exactly what side I'm on. Firstly, I'm on the side of my family and my friends. Second, I'm on the side of the American people, and I'm on the side of the government and the military third, and only as long as they're taking care of the first two.
Il colonnello Campbell è un uomo meschino, non mi piace, è un idiota. Per avere il controllo su quello che concorderete è il più importante evento del secolo, se non della storia, il colonnello ha confiscato i corpi e dato il via a manovre di insabbiamento.
Here to contribute to the solution of this plan, because there's a linkage here. So there needs to be a campaign plan to synchronize all this, I would argue. You know, DoD's big into plans. So a campaign plan is like a plan about a plan. It's a meta plan, right? So that means, you know, like cost schedule performance is really not part of your campaign plan. It's just sort of like, this is the direction we want to go. These are the ends, ways, and means that we want to use. And this is like the kind of shared consensus of what we're trying to do. And the shared consensus I would submit is we want proper oversight because we've got a government that's run by elected officials, and ultimately they're accountable to the public. And they've already recognized that they don't have the appropriate oversight. So we want to get oversight. And we want to get disclosure, but we want to get it through a controlled process. We want to get it in a way that doesn't create this societal collapse, like Eric Klein talked about in 1177 BC, the system collapse of all the ancient societies. This is the order of the potential concern that might be happening here. And then the third piece is, what do we want to do about this problem? Well, we've got to actually address the scientific, technical, ethical, legal, religious aspects of this, and more people need to be involved if we're going to make that progress. So this is the obligatory DoD type of campaign plan chart. So, yeah, we've had phase one. We've completed phase one. I would argue phase one ends when we get Schumer. And so it says, demonstrate UAP existence by, January of 24. And you're like, oh, that's crazy. It's never going to happen. It's probably won't happen in my lifetime. I'm saying that already happened. The Gang of Eight just said that we need this legislation and they don't have proper oversight. So disclosure is a process. It's not an event, and it's going to stair step across these phases. So phase two is where academia, I think, comes in. And then ultimately we get to the wider public. And so we see like October 2030 is maybe the pivot point when this board sunsets. 7 years for the board to do its job. But in order to facilitate the board doing its job, this philosophical investigation, line of effort B, scientific investigation, line of effort C, and private sector investigation, line of effort D, is where we can all contribute to facilitating and lowering that potential barrier. And so I've got maybe a minute or two. I'm going to just jump through a couple ideas that I've got for each of these lines of effort, if we might do that. So this is the government line of effort. Pass Schumer, grant legal amnesty, centralize the data, create a Manhattan Project to address this area, sponsor National Science Foundation grants, charter an NIE, National Intel Estimate, to assess the public-private positions of every country with this topic and where they are with it, and use that to tee up a United Nations Summit or World Congress on developing new norms of behavior in this context, right? So that would be line of effort A. What about line of effort B, the humanities? I think we need a sociological model for analyzing the societal impact for disclosure and then developing mitigation strategies a priori to address that. Now, some people think that may be less of a concern or more of a concern. It's kind of irrelevant. Like, it's an unknown right now. We need a plan to address it to lower that concern. Codify the laws of ethics.
È facile comprendere cosa ha ostacolato le ricerche in questi anni. Nessuna strumentazione, niente apparati di controllo. Niente. Però anche ora si avverte che c'è energia. La permanenza qui va limitata, c'è una specie di campo di forza. Dopo 6 minuti la testa inizia a far male, 20 minuti al massimo e c'è emorragia cerebrale. Non solleverà mai questo apparecchio senza un motore. Non l'abbiamo trovato, il motore. Erano 5 i motori. Sono morti nel 47. Hanno poteri mentali inimmaginabili e hanno la capacità di penetrare nella mente di un uomo e di fornirgli immagini. E questo richiede più energia che guidare una nave tra le stelle. È la forza del pensiero, la fonte di energia che i suoi scienziati non hanno trovato.
Lei che suggerisce, dottore? Di aspettare un altro schianto?
È un'opzione.
Me ne dica un'altra.
Trovare altri con poteri mentali inimmaginabili.
Signore, venite.
State facendo un grande servizio al vostro paese. Ve ne saremo riconoscenti.
20 minuti, dobbiamo farle uscire.
Aspettiamo 5 minuti.
Signore, moriranno.
Sono morte quando hanno messo piede nella base.
Not just for the United States, but for all of humanity, are so profound that we owe it to ourselves to continue to support our committed elected representatives during this unprecedented push for transparency.
Where would you look?
If the existence of these secret programs is true, it would prove to be the greatest revelation in history.
If we were provided the clearances right here and right now, could you walk me into a lab and show me something?
I'm not saying anything.